I try to be a representative in inclusion, not because I want to be the face of anything, but when you think about somebody that's been totally blind, who has cancer, has diabetes, you get that vision in your mind. You get W.E. Du Bois, so whoever it is that you're thinking about. People have given me opportunities. Like, again, I mentioned Judge Sheila Calloway because when I was at one of my lowest points, and I remember interviewing with her, and they asked me, what was one of the toughest things that you've had to deal with in your life? And I spoke to what I was going through.
Wow.
They said, having someone of your character only brings more value to our organization. And for me, I didn't see myself having that value. So being able to navigate that and have people say, we see value in you where you don't even see in yourself.
Absolutely.
And knowing that I'm a work in process and a work in progress, but it's worth the work. It's worth the investment. I've been included in places that I could only dream of being in. Again, sitting in front of you today.
Wow.
Had I not gone through what I've gone through, I wouldn't have this opportunity. I wouldn't have the love and support that I have. I wouldn't have my babies. If I have to go through all that again, I do it a million times, knowing this is what I get.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Ask the Leaders podcast, where we bring you authentic conversations with trailblazers, change makers, and resilient voices who are shaping our communities and our culture.
We'll unveil strategies not to just survive, but thrive as leaders in an ever-evolving world. Let's get started.
Welcome to another exciting episode of the Ask the Leaders podcast, where we bring you authentic conversations with trailblazers, change makers, and resilient voices who are shaping our communities and our culture. I'm your girl, Chi.
And I'm Dee. And did you notice in Chi's welcome that our podcast name changed? That's right. We're now Ask the Leaders Podcast. We're confident that the new name will make it easier for you to find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and just be more searchable overall. And guess what? Now we're on audio. So we're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So check us out. Oh, iHeartRadio too.
Oh, to those of you who already subscribe to the podcast, there's nothing you need to do. We want to thank you for supporting us and rocking with us all of these years. If you're new to our podcast, then welcome to the family. And know that we drop an episode on the second and fourth Tuesday of the month at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Now, I wanted to say, Dee, to our guest today, he is a shining example of courage, purpose, and perseverance. Would you kindly introduce our guest to our viewers?
Oh my gosh, absolutely. So family, the title of today's podcast is From Public Servant to Purpose-Driven Leader. We're honored to be joined today by Daniel Drumwright, a Nashville, Tennessee native, business professional, civil advocate, producer, speaker, and author. And oh, by the way, he's my brother. So we've been together a long time. Daniel is dedicated to a life of service, from working alongside public figures, former Mayor Carl Dean and Judge Sheila Calloway, to advocating for equity in business and justice across his hometown of Nashville. But beyond his impressive resume, Daniel's story is deeply personal and profoundly inspiring. As an author of Revision, here's his book, he opens up about overwhelming life-altering challenges, including leukemia, blindness, diabetes, and depression, and how those trials shaped him into the husband, father, and servant leader he is today. His life is a powerful testament of what it means to fight through darkness, hold on to faith, and emerge in renewed vision and purpose. Daniel, welcome to the Ask the Leaders podcast. We're truly honored to have you with us today.
Thank you, sis. Thank you. Thank you very much for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
Yes. How was the drive?
Well, if I drove, then y'all need to be getting on somebody's case because there ain't no way I'm driving down here. I was riding. So my wife drove and drive wasn't bad. We got up early, headed down, and we only met traffic once we got to Atlanta, and that's kind of customary when you come to Atlanta.
Love it. Passenger prince is what we call it.
I
Passenger
love
prince.
it. Yes.
Yeah.
We always like to, make sure we give our visitors something that they've got to talk about, So if you're not talking about the weather, you might as well be talking about the traffic.
Right.
Yeah, you can talk about the traffic any day of the week down here.
But let me just tell you this before we get into the questions. I wanted to share when Deanna was describing you, and she, because we were going to try to have you on months ago, right? But she was saying all these accolades, and in my mind, and now no offense, but I was expecting someone to look like maybe W.E.B. Du Bois, a much older person to walk through the door. And I'm like, oh my gosh, well, he's so young and he's done all these things. So I just wanted to just let you know that sometimes what you can have in your mind about how a person's appearance is, it can be totally different.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you were delightfully surprised.
It was a very delightful surprise, okay?
Surprise.
That just means you've done a lot in a short period of time.
Exactly,
Yeah, yes,
exactly.
ma'am. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
Brother Daniel, your story is one of extraordinary resilience. So can you take us back to a moment when you realized your pain was being transformed into purpose and what that shift looked like for you?
Well, there were several moments in my circumstance dealing with all of my health issues. And you shared, a little bit about my story, but there was a particular moment about 8 months into everything that I dealt with. And I went to my oncologist. Of course, I was diagnosed with leukemia shortly after going blind. We learned that was really the issues that we're dealing with that were suffocating my body and my eyes of the nutrients that it needed. So as my body started to come back together, as the leukemia, all of my white blood cells, all of my blood work started to show normal, I was still stuck in this sunken place. And I started having more conversations with people, but I had a particular conversation with my therapist at the time. And we discussed all of the things that I had been going through. And he said, you need to tap back into those personal things that you do in your life that make you feel normal. And I was, at the time, I was in much better shape than I am now. I mean, I still look good. I mean, I look better than WB Du Bois. At least I feel like that.
And does.
See, count it. But I used to work out a lot. But music had always been something that was a passion of mine. And I had kind of stepped away from it. And so as I started just dabbling and getting back in the routine, what I started realizing is that I started to become more authentic in how I shared what I was dealing with. And so I started having these moments where people would ask about, why, I had a different pair of glasses. I had 2 pairs of glasses at the time. I had readers, which were like Coke bottles, serious Coke bottles. And I would have to go back and forth. And as I started to share with people what I'd been going through and what I'd overcome, you could tell like it left them amazed that someone who looked like me and was moving like me had gone through all of this. And I realized that just putting one foot in front of the other and leading by example, it'd been a key point in my life to lead by example.
Okay.
But in this moment in my life, when people don't know what you're dealing with and then they get a glimpse into the window of life that you're living, it puts things in perspective. And I realized that, wow, like me sharing, it's really opening up other people's eyes, And for myself, I knew that there was the start of something. I wasn't quite sure what God still wanted out of me.
Sure.
But I realized that I'm going to have to walk this out and figure it out. And as I continue to, it just started to reveal itself and unpack that what I've gone through is abnormal. Like people don't go through what I've gone through.
Wow.
And people don't have that type of story to share on the back end that I lost my sight. And now I'm severely impaired and I have leukemia. I've been dealing with diabetes my whole life. And I don't look like none of that. Most people are like, I wouldn't have thought that at all. And I tell again, don't put me in the ground yet, but You know,
Of course not.
what I understand is that there's purpose in everything that we deal with.
That's right.
That's right. I really like that. And I think we call that in the speaker's world sort of reframing, because sometimes it's not necessarily what you're looking at, but maybe the perspective. And sometimes you just have to change the perspective to appreciate the glory and everything. But you also said something important, because sometimes, like you said, when people can look at you and they don't know, sometimes people see your glory, but they don't know your story.
That's
and
right.
everything.
Amen.
So we appreciate you being here today to help share your story, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
So one of the things that in your bio I uncovered that you've worked with powerful civic leaders like Mayor Carl Dean and Judge, was it Sheila Calloway?
Yes.
So what did those experiences teach you about leadership that you now apply to your own journey?
And it's interesting that you asked me that question, because I just shared this not long ago.
Mhm.
I was always a lead by example person. Growing up, I mean, I was a football player, baseball player, and, you know, a lot of chatter on the field, but I was going to be that guy. I was going, you can talk all that mess, but when I come up and hit the ball over the fence, or when I hit you, on the football field, it's going to be a different story. As I started to mature, I realized that my voice, being able to advocate and be able to speak to certain subject matters. When I got into the mayor's office, it was really eye-opening, because I was involved in so many community events and where they want you to speak to what's going on in the city. And I saw the mayor, Carl Dean, and I've been able to watch Sheila Calloway, who's also a member of my church, but I work for in her court. I've seen them be able to speak and convey these messages and just galvanize people
Right.
and you can see how inspired people lead when they are, when you're able to hear the things and not just see the things, and when people are advocating for you and wanting social justice, that showed me that my voice was just as important as the work that I'm doing. So what it allowed me to do is start to tap into that voice. I always wanted to be the guy, hey, I'm doing the work, but I don't need the limelight. What I realized is that you don't get to choose your purpose. Sometimes God moves you in front of the light.
That's
because
right.
your message and your story and your vision and your purpose align with that.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love it. As a proud graduate of MTSU and TSU, you've maintained close ties with the alumni. You really lean into those communities. So how important is that network in your growth, and how can others, our listeners, learn how to tap into those networks and really leverage them to be meaningful in their journey?
Well, as a Middle Tennessean, what I've learned is, especially, and I'm sure you're all aware, Middle Tennessee has grown tremendously.
Oh, yes.
And so with the growth and with the presence in the new market, all of this opportunity that's there, what I've learned is that my backyard is becoming a front stage for a lot of different opportunities. And being able to tap back into my universities I've graduated from. Just recently, I spoke to a group of students in their leadership at a leadership conference at MTSU. And I have been able to not only share with these, my universities, but I've had them feed back into me different opportunities and continue to help me promote myself. TSU is somewhere I spent most of my life.
Wow.
As a kid, going to football games, going to the parade almost every year, even going to like different academic events on campus. Those relationships they're there to this day. My dean of students is a member of my church, and I get to connect with him on a regular basis. And he's just been so helpful in actually not just, helping me get through my college years, but on the back end, be able to reconnect and share with the new students, the new generation of kids that get to come to TSU. So it has really helped me in a lot of ways, just stay more firm and grounded in the community that helped breed me.
I love it. I love it.
Good. And I mean, I know the community is close there. You're born and raised in Tennessee, right? So, I mean, having that sense of community, having that group of folks that you can tap back into with all your civil service, your book now, all the other things you're doing, I'm sure is very important.
Absolutely. More than anything, just the support that I've gotten at this point in my life. Being in my backyard, I always thought that, Nashville would be home, but I thought that at times that I wanted to, go experience something different. And I've traveled all over the world, but after going through everything that I've gone through, especially with the lack of vision that I have now and being able to just continue to be just moving normalcy. Like, I don't miss a beat. You can ask anybody that knows me, ask my wife, Daniel got to be somewhere, I'm going to get there.
Okay.
But because I've been able to have that structure, those people, that community, that I left, apparently I left a good taste in their mouth because they have been there tenfold. My church community, my university, they have just fed back into me. They've made sure that I, as just as a human being, I feel accepted and welcome in so many ways. And then when I get there, I just show up and be myself. I don't have to worry about what people think about me, even though sometimes I do, because again, I do have some things that make me more self-aware, but everyone else, they can't tell. But that's the beauty of it. Just being able to say, hey, no matter how different, it's not what happens to you, it's how you respond. And people will respond in return to you. They will give you the opportunities that you're seeking, and they will feed life into you sometimes where you fall short.
That's right. That's right.
I just love that because in a world when, we're having difficulties and people tend to want to highlight the negativity, but it's stories like this that let you know. And I just believe at the end of the day, the normal place of a person has a good heart and people want to help and people enjoy, because do you know it's impossible to put a smile on someone else's face and it doesn't make you smile.
Right.
And that's what I try to get people to don't focus on the negativity. You have a lot of people doing a lot of good things, but unfortunately that doesn't sell, magazines or help ratings, the good things, people supporting you. And that's not going to, get ratings. Now somebody come pop you upside the head, maybe.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
It's unfortunate the times that we're in.
Hey, Boom Lineal family, need help with buying or selling a home? I've got you covered. I'm Angela Lewis, cheered, and I am the pro partner with Keller Williams, West Atlanta. So whether you're trying to buy your first home, your forever home, or even real estate property, please give me a call. I can help you navigate the market with clarity and care. So call me today at 404-704-2130 or slide into my DM at Angela, the Pro Partner. Look forward to hearing from you.
Let's talk about faith, family, and community. So kind of staying on that same track. Clearly, it has played a large role in your life, obviously. And so how did three pillars support your needs throughout this process of kind of what you've been through in a difficult season? So, and then what advice do you have for others that may be having challenges or going through something? Because I remember a lot of your challenges happened before you had children. So now that you're a family and all those things, like kind of talk about that a little bit.
So leading off with the faith aspect, most people who are from Nashville or from the Middle Tennessee area know them all. The brother's pretty well-known pastor, right? And so he's my big brother.
Okay.
At the end of the day, yes, he's Pastor Drumwright. Yes, that's my big brother.
Oh.
But that relationship, not only him being the faith-based person that I go to sometimes for advice and for just thoughts on how I should, deal with what I'm, now presented with. That has really, really helped me just integrate into like rebuilding my relationship with God. Yeah. I will be 100% honest. When I first started going through everything that I went through, I was very faithful on the front end. But then when I got to that point where I had that eye surgery, I realized that nothing was going to go back to normal the way that it once was.
Gotcha.
My faith fell. Like it really did. I went through this really troubling time just trying to accept that God's purpose in my life was going to be fulfilled through this circumstance.
Mhm.
I didn't understand why. I thought I had done everything right.
Mm-hmm.
But having all of my family and my church family, and then having an older brother that didn't just want to preach to me. He just tried to understand. He loved me like he did when he was a
Wow.
kid. He's 10 years older than me. So
Mm-hmm.
he's more of a father to me than
Mhm.
anything. And so because I had that love and because I had that space to grieve, it made it easier for me to listen and keep finding the purpose to keep going forward and rebuilding my relationship with God.
Mm.
And that also comes off the back of my relationship with my wife, who was my girlfriend at the time. I think about it so often how we met and it was a whirlwind relationship. Like everything was great. I felt like I was at the top of the mountain. And then it was like somebody came and knocked me off and said, start all over, climb Mount Everest again.
Wow.
And I was at one point afraid for even my relationship,
Mm-hmm.
but she held it down like 100%.
That's awesome.
She stuck
She's
with
a
me.
rider.
Yeah, she is. She absolutely is. I'm truly blessed. And when you see God work through your circumstances like that, through your family, through the people
Mhm.
that they don't have to be there. They want to be there. They want to
Mhm.
love you through all of that. So what it has done is given me less of an excuse than a lot of people. You think people hear my story and like, oh my God, I can't believe that you kept going. I'm like, how could I give up when I have this much love and support?
Right.
Now, I did make excuses at one point, but I had to get over myself. And once I was able to get over
Mhm.
myself, I was able to get back to ground zero and just keep walking forward. So for anyone who is going through anything in life, whether it's, debilitating health issue like mine, it's a loss of your mother, which I lost my mom in high school. If
Mm.
it's anything in life that is troubling you, the only way to deal with it is to keep moving forward. Now, that's not always easy.
Mhm.
Sometimes you need help. Sometimes you need a break. Sometimes you got to tap into, some of those resources that, a lot of us black men don't like to going to the doctor or going to talk to somebody. Man, I've had to take my pride and throw it out the window several times. So you got to find things and people and spaces that make you feel welcome, but also you have to be willing to do the work
That's right.
and give yourself grace. Because honestly, it doesn't happen overnight. But if you just keep on that path
Mhm.
and you just trust that God does have a purpose for you, it does start to reveal itself to you. So
I
agree.
absolutely love that. But you know what I really love when you're sharing your story is that how blessed you are that you were able to find some of your biggest strengths and encouragement. You didn't have to go outside your family.
Yeah.
And I love that. God sent you a loving, supportive wife. You had an older brother. What a blessing, because unfortunately, sometimes, there are some people that can have families and they don't really understand. And so you are so blessed in that regard.
absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I wanted to just while we're talking about that is, you are a strong advocate for diversity, equity, and inclusion across government, business, and community. What does true inclusion look like to you? And where do you see the most room for growth in our society today?
For me, inclusion is me being on this show today, me being able to get here, me being able to. I try to be a representative in inclusion, not because I want to be the face of anything, but when you think about somebody that's been totally blind, who has cancer, has diabetes, you get that vision in your mind. You get W.E. Du Bois, so whoever it is that you're thinking about. People have given me opportunities. Like, I mentioned Judge Sheila Calloway because when I was at one of my lowest points, and I remember interviewing with her, and they asked me, what was one of the toughest things that you've had to deal with in your life? And I spoke to what I was going through.
Wow.
They said, having someone of your character only brings more value to our organization. And for me, I didn't see myself having that value.
Mhm.
So being able to navigate that and have people say, we see value in you where you don't even see in yourself.
Absolutely.
And knowing that I'm a work in process and a work in progress, but it's worth the work, it's worth the investment. I've been included in places that I could only dream of being in. Again, sitting in front of you today.
Wow.
Had I not gone through what I've gone through,
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't have this opportunity. I wouldn't have the love and support that I have. I wouldn't have my babies. If I have to go through all that again, I do it a million times, knowing this is what I get.
Wow. How many children do you have?
So I got 3. We got one that just graduated, thank God, because that boy is something else. And we love him to death. But
We are
Blake,
so proud of him.
yeah,
Oh, my
Blake is
goodness.
his own man now, and that's my dog. Like, it's interesting because, I've been in his life since he was 6, since me and his mom met. And our relationship has always been fun and goofy. And then he got to middle school and high school, and I had to be dad. And we had a moment where we had this big blow up, and after that it has been like me and him joke around all the time. I try to have a lot more conversation with him, not around his mama, because I feel like mama's always gonna mama, right? But I get the grown man and I get the young man
Of
and
course.
we get to talk about you can't get with him and not talk about gals. So but yeah, we have very good conversations about him. But he's 18, he's
That's
doing well.
great.
We got our 7-year-old. That's the apple of my eye, my Benny. She was my my chunky chunks, and now she's my skinny Benny. And she,
Right.
Bellamy is 7, and she's everybody's favorite student and child.
Oh,
And
that's
she's
great.
very popular and just all over the place. But she is such a sweetheart. And then we got crazy man, 2-year-old Beckham. So we got 2 to 18. Don't ask us what we was thinking. Obviously we wasn't, because it's ridiculous in my house right now.
My gosh,
I
that
love
is
it.
funny. Can I see your book for a second?
Absolutely.
Because I want to put this up at the camera. So this is Daniel's book. It's called Revision. And this is a memoir. So it chronicles not only your battles with leukemia and blindness, but also your mental and emotional journey. So what motivated you to be so transparent, and how has that transparency impacted others?
It honestly just started with me writing down my thoughts.
Okay.
I was in a darker place when I started writing this book. And I always defer back to music. And so when I started writing, I started realizing that I was really telling my story in kind of a poetic way, whether it was like poems or, a track that I'd heard, and I just started writing to it. And what happened is as I started looking at these different thoughts that I had, I realized that I had kind of started from the start of everything when I had sight and things started getting bad to the moment that I was at now, where I call it the sunken place. I wasn't at rock bottom. I was I was kind of numb. But what I started to realize as I continued to therapy myself through art is that I really am telling my story in a lot of ways. Now, what I was writing was more of my emotion.
Gotcha.
So then what I was able to do was go back and kind of fill in the gaps with the actual content and things that started happening. And as I started doing that, it became sometimes very intense, but just a release. And I realized then that I told myself initially I was writing to share with others and to give hope, which I was. But honestly, I was writing for me because I needed to get it out.
Wow.
I wasn't very honest with people on the front end about how I feel. I kind of had this routine. God is good. I'm just working through it. I'm just trying to figure it out. And then one day I said it and I knew I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it at all. I was like, man, I'm going to keep it clean. But it was a bunch of 4-letter words and screw this and I don't want to do this no more. And I had to check myself. But in order to check myself, I had to first keep it real with myself. I have a saying, keeping it real is only being real with yourself.
Absolutely.
And it took some moments, and it took a really tough situation with my wife one morning, a few days before Christmas, that really helped to show me that everything that I'm doing, I'm going through the motion on. Let's stop going through the motion. Let's start taking this serious. Let's start doing what you're saying that you're doing. And as I started doing that and I went back to writing, I started to see that the pages were just my story unfolding. So then it just took me going back and filling in all of the gaps and being completely transparent, not saying what I thought was right to say, but talk about the time that I talked a little crazy to a lady at the eye doctor because she tried to tell me something about God, and I was like, nah, hell, feel like this is not what this is or whatever. But again, it really gave me that platform and really the space to really start to remedy myself.
But that's good that you talk about, because, you know, in this lifetime, we will go through the motions and we will, what do you say? Like, we'll have our mask on and we'll go through the day and people say, well, how are you? And you say, okay, that's fine. But we oftentimes will mask that with our pain. So I'm glad that you were able to unpack it, break it down so that you could start building yourself back up.
Absolutely.
But you know what it also sounds to me like? Grief. You know, that you were grieving, basically you had lost a chapter of your life as you knew your health basically had failed you. And grief goes through stages.
Yes.
So whether it's a loss of anything, you know, whether it's an actual person or relationship, or in your case, it was your health. So all the things that you talked about, having to be real with yourself, those are the various stages of grief. And then you get to acceptance, you know, and then that's when you're ready to sort of become that eagle. And then you can go ahead and start soaring through the rest of your life or the next chapter.
The grief, it kind of purposes you for your new normal.
Exactly.
So you know, you have to go through the grief in order to come out on the other side and start to say, hey, now I can accept it.
There you go.
Because you can't accept something without going through all of the turmoil on the front end. So, you know, we all want to skip the hard work to get to the glory.
Exactly.
It don't work like that.
It don't work. Got to go through the storm. Get to the other
and
side.
Everything. But the beautiful thing is, by going through, now you are equipped when someone else is coming up to you and they're going through something. You are a living testament is hang in there, because this too will pass.
Yes.
You know, and had you not gone through that, and so you can say that with confidence and clarity because you've been there, done that.
Right.
You know, I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
So,
I guess.
Did you have any other questions that you want to ask?
No. Well, I guess last question I would have is, what do you do to revive yourself?
That's right.
To really like unwind and just recharge, and how do you do that?
So again, music has been something that's helped me in the past. And I kind of got away from it for a while, but my daughter started doing piano lessons. And so that is really springboard my mind. So I got my little keyboard back set up, my computer. I know Brandon's probably like, Lord Jesus, here we go again with this. No, she's very supportive of that. She knows it means a lot to me. But again, I spend a lot of time at the gym. I work from home right now 3 days a week.
Okay.
And so what I will do is just cut time out of my day and I go to the gym, because it's that connecting that mind, body, and spirit. If I feel I look good, even though I might not even be seeing myself in the mirror that well, but if I look good, my mental is good, which means also my spirit is good.
Absolutely.
And so you got to figure out a way to center all of that.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of times we get a little afraid of starting over in life and trying new things and jumping out there and say, oh, this didn't work out, and now I got to do this. And as I continue to, you know, grow at 40 years old, I'm still learning so much about myself. And I realize that you just never stop learning. You really don't. And so you start filling in the gaps, and then you start to, you know, just recharge yourself. And I recharge myself a lot of times, again, by going to the gym. And then sometimes it's just stepping out and being by myself. I'm not necessarily a loner. I mean, I'm a talker. You know, if the wall talk back, I could probably talk to it. You know, honestly, I'm one of those people. Like I don't meet strangers,
right?
And I think that really is also something that helps me recharge, just by being in those environments sometimes wherever I am, and just sparking conversation. I don't even share a lot about myself most of the time, but every so often somebody will see my insulin pump, or, you know, or my other reading glasses, and be like, hey man, why you got them glasses like that? Like, is that a joke? Like, nah. Then of course it just opens up the floodgates for conversation.
Right.
So actually speaking to others helps recharge me, because I feel like energy transfers. Good energy transfers.
Absolutely.
So yeah. Amongst other things, but those things right there, and then on top of everything, just spending time with my family. my babies,
I
my
love
wife.
that.
Good,
Absolutely.
good.
Now, you had mentioned too that you love to travel. What's one of your favorite places that you've ever had the opportunity to frequent?
Rome.
Rome.
is top of the list. We just got
Okay.
back from Curacao for my 40th. Well,
Mhm.
not just, about 6-7 months ago.
Okay.
I really love Curacao, and I would love to go back there. But
Mhm.
Rome, I mean,
Hands down.
hands down. So we went for our part of our honeymoon. Stopped in Barcelona. Barcelona was beautiful, great. I didn't want to leave Rome though. Rome was like
It's just got a great vibe.
well, it's like stepping. I'm a history buff. I love
Right.
ancient Roman history,
Okay.
Greek history, and my
Mhm.
wife knows ancient Egyptian history. It plays while I work,
Okay.
and so just knowing how all of those histories are connected,
Mhm.
and then being in that space, being in the Vatican, being
Oh yes.
in it's just amazing.
Mhm.
And I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to experience the same way as others because of my limited sight. Man, I got there and it was like just being back in time, going to the Coliseum.
Wow.
Oh man, it's just
yes.
amazing. So
Mhm.
that's somewhere that I really want to go back and visit.
To Rome.
Okay.
I love it.
Yeah, I
You've been
love
there?
Rome.
Yep.
I've been to Rome. I
okay.
actually got engaged at the Trevi Fountain.
That's right.
Oh, really?
That
That's
is
right.
Is
That's
that
right.
where you got proposed
That's
to?
where I got proposed
Fancy,
to.
Oh my
fancy,
In the
God.
rain.
Mhm.
So I love Rome. I mean, I love Italy,
Mhm,
period. I mean,
mhm.
it's just a great country. The people are nice. The food is amazing. And to Daniel's point, it's like going back in time.
Right.
But you're still able to, I guess, experience some of the luxuries of today.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Well, that's
Absolutely.
definely on my next travel
Yes,
list.
you gotta go to
Definitely.
Rome.
Yeah, you got to.
Absolutely.
Italy,
Absolutely.
just somewhere in
Okay.
Italy
Italy.
in general is
Right.
beautiful. But
Yes. Okay.
Oh, yeah. Hey, Boomlennial family. Are you looking to invest in commercial real estate? Maybe sell, maybe lease commercial properties? Well, I'm your trusted resource. My name is Deanna Daniel. I am an entrepreneur, a podcast host, as well as a commercial real estate professional, and I'm looking forward to working with you. Listen, I do business in Atlanta, surrounding counties in Georgia. Let me put you up on game and show you how to get this money and or build a legacy for you and your family. So listen, this is how you follow me on social media. My Instagram is Deanna Dreams Properties, or you can Google my first and last name. And hey, if you do that, leave me a good review on my Google page. Yeah. So Chi, do you know what that sound is? It's time for our Ask the Leaders segment. So we're going to reach into our profit box.
Oh, that's what
And
that
while
is.
you're doing that, family, I just want to say that this segment is where our viewers, like you, get to send us your burning questions on anything regarding entrepreneurship, leadership, or even real estate. And that gives us an opportunity to give our guests an opportunity to answer the question. And you can send those questions to chiand@gmail.com.
All right. So I'm gonna let y'all. Let me see.
Why don't you
now
let D read it to you?
Yeah, y'all done put me on the spot. Got me reading this little print. No, I actually can read it, but I'm gonna let you read it.
No, I love it. Okay.
No, we know you can read. I have to tell you guys.
can read it.
But can I tell you the story really quick
go
though?
ahead.
Speaking of can you read, every time I hear that, I was actually what do you call it? A blind date. Somebody, introduced you. So it was actually a airline pilot for UPS. So the person thought, oh, I think you guys are, really jail. So anyway, we get there. I didn't have my reading glasses. And so I said, oh, do you mind you read the menu for me? And he looked at me and said, you can read, right? And I'm like,
You got to check in this day and age.
I said,
you don't know.
I have an MBA. I just didn't bring my glasses because literally the words were so small. I don't know if he believed me because I didn't get invited to a second date.
Well, I wasn't about to struggle up here. I could read it, but I said, I don't have my reading glasses, and I don't want to be over here stumbling and bumbling. So let me let somebody with 20/20 help me out.
Listen, we got you.
We got you.
All right, this is from our viewer Alice in Mableton, Georgia. Thank you, Alice, for the question. Dear Chi and D, I've been watching your podcast since day one. Thank you so much, girl.
Thank you.
You both are bold and beautiful. Thanks.
Wow.
My question today is, as leaders, I'm sure you all have served in many capacities, but what would you say is your proudest moment as a public service or community advocate?
Oh man, I have a couple of them, but one stands out in particular. It's when I was in the mayor's office. I went to a community event,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a lady there, older lady, and she told me she had met me before. I got to introduce myself. I
Sure.
said a few words from the mayor's office. She came and she's like, "Yeah, I spoke to you. I called you because I had an issue at the place I was staying, and we were trying to get some things taken care of. I didn't remember exactly what happened. I talked to so many people that I was like, oh, okay." And so we just sparked a conversation,
Mhm.
and she was telling me about all of her thoughts about what was going on in the city, how she liked the growth, but why she liked the growth, she thought there were some things that were going to be kind of missed: affordable housing, our infrastructure, which is the top of our list of things to do in Nashville now. So we had a great conversation. I end up leaving that meeting and going to another meeting, and lo and behold, she was there. And I said,
Mhm.
"Oh, okay." So she came up to me again. She's like, "I'm gonna see you all over today. I'm just gonna bug you." And I was like, "Oh, okay." Well, after that meeting, she was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get home." She's like, "Do you happen to have $1.70?" And I was thinking, that's a odd bit of money to ask for. She was like, "I want to catch the bus home or whatever." And I was thinking, like, I don't have any money on me. But I'm like, sure. I'll go get some cash out of the ATM.
Mhm.
Well, there was an ATM close to where we were at the meeting, and it wasn't working. And so I was like, I don't want to leave this lady here. So I told her, I said, "Look, we're going to drive down the street close to Nolensville Pike in Nashville." And anybody who knows Nolensville Pike in
Mhm.
Nashville knows really busy, really.
yes.
So we go down the road, and I said, "You know what? I have this lady with me. I'm just going to go." I said, "Look, I'll just take you home." And she's like, "You don't have to do that." And I was like, "No, let me take you home. Let me take
Mhm.
you home." And we, started talking about the issue she had called me about, and it started to like jog my mind. I said, "Oh yeah, you had the issue with the water and the sewage and all these other things." And I was just
Mhm.
like, "Did you get any of that handled?" They're like, "Well, they're supposed to be." She was like, we got to where she was, which is about or where she lived, about 20 minutes away. She's like, "You actually can drop me off here." I said, "No, I don't want to drop you off here." It was kind of on the corner near a Walgreens. She was like, "Okay." So I turned, and when I got to where she lived, I just kind of like, my mouth dropped. It was a old hotel that had been turned into affordable housing, and that place, I mean, they had people in the parking lot. Just, I mean, it didn't look like the place that she
Oh.
and her son were supposed to be living in.
Mhm.
She never asked me for anything but $1.70 for bus fare, and this woman needed so many things.
Wow.
And it really exposed to me that there are so many people out here that look like they got it together and are out here making things happen for themselves, and they're struggling. This
Mhm.
woman needed all the help that she can get and deserved it. She worked the job. She had been divorced. Her
Mhm.
husband took everything because everything was in his name before she got married, and apparently had a prenup, and things just didn't work out with him. He was abusive,
Mm.
and now she is back in Nashville, living out of this
Wow.
rundown hotel.
Wow.
And I'm sitting here trying to find every reason in the world to to help her, but not put myself out there too much. And I said, "Wow, look at this."
Wow.
Like, she didn't ask me for anything but $1.70, and now she's embarrassed for me to see where she lives.
Mm.
So it showed me then, and it stayed with me to this day. You can look like something, be going through something totally different, and that's what I stand on.
Oh,
When
yeah.
people see me again, they don't think that I've gone through what I've gone through, and
Mhm.
that's the whole idea. I
Wow.
don't want to look what you think this looks like. I want to
Mhm.
be something better than that, and that example has stayed with me from that day. So,
Yeah.
That's something.
That's something.
Wow.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that.
I really appreciate that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have something that sort of in serving the community or anything, your job, that sort of stands out that
Yeah, I'm trying to think. So we had in real estate, I had a client who was looking for, a space. And so he reached out to me because they were a nonprofit organization. And
Mhm.
so I hadn't really done a lot of work with nonprofits. So I was like, okay, let me see how we can be a blessing to you. And so his organization had an after school program. And
Sure.
what I did was I realized that they didn't necessarily have the funding to, lease a commercial space kind of outright and enter into,
Mm-hmm.
$30,000-$40,000 a year type of lease situation. And so I reached out to churches and community organizations and linked them up so that they could pitch their program and then use their space for free.
Gotcha.
Or enter into some partnership, definitely at a lower level.
Right.
Just trying to help out
Right.
this particular cause and effort, because I knew that, they were going to need to establish themselves prior to sort of signing up for a more permanent space. So I guess as a leader, sometimes, I learned in that case, I had to think outside the box because they came to me to solve a real estate problem. But I realized that this was going to need a little bit more TLC than just, oh, let me find you a space to lease. It's going to be something where we're going to have to build up over time, and connecting those partners in the community was instrumental in doing that. So I would say that's one example I have recently.
Well, no, that's really good, because basically you were able to have foresight and see that they probably weren't there financially to get that. And you would be doing a disservice if you were just trying to chase the bag and, okay, I'll get you a lease, and then they can't even keep it a year.
Correct. And then I also knew a lot of community organizations, churches, they need programs.
Absolutely.
And so they're actually, it's a kind of utopia, because they need programming to serve their community, their kids, their youth. And then they could also help this individual essentially grow their nonprofit and programming. So I knew it could be a mutual beneficial
win-win
relationship.
situation. I love that. I love that.
What about you, Chi?
So speaking of nonprofit, believe it or not, about over 10 years ago, I actually had a nonprofit with a friend of mine. We had an after-school program at Stockbridge High School. It's one of our counties on the south side here in Atlanta. Yep. And it was it was a leadership after school where we wanted to expose them to different careers, where I'm very pro-education, but I also like to be realistic and let the young people know that that's not the only way, going to college, to be able to earn a living to support your family. So we wanted to bring in speakers in a plethora of careers, so that if they don't want to go to college, you may consider a barber and what it takes to be a barber or whatever, or bringing in somebody who is an electrician, and what it takes. But we were coming up on spring break, and Oprah had given this program. Did y'all remember the Big Give? And I don't know, it was probably like when she gave away, everybody got a car, you get a car, you get a car, and all of that. So I wanted to sort of mimic that. And I got Georgia Power to be a sponsor and give us enough money where I could host a Big Give program for the students. And we had 20 students that were enrolled, and we gave them all $50 for spring break, and they had to do something for someone during spring break, and they can pick what they want. I remember my executive director and I went back and forth because he was so afraid, like, oh my gosh, we give them $50 cash, they may use this money to buy drugs or, or alcohol. And he was very concerned, because then we're going to be involved in a scandal. Yeah. And my whole thing is, no, if you set a high expectation for the youth, and let them know that, you value, you believe in them, they usually will rise to the occasion. Yeah. But I'm going to tell you, they blew our minds. I mean, they even exceeded what I thought. We had arranged, one of my good friends owned a pizza place here, Chicago's Pizza, and they did karaoke. So we had arranged that all the students could go to karaoke, we'll do that. But we had the radio stations got involved. So our first, second, and third place winners were able to go to the radio station and share their project. But the winners did things like one person actually bought sub sandwiches and took them down to the homeless shelter down saying. And so so the parents had to get involved in it too. Yeah. But they came back and shared like stories like, these people, they had lives, they did things. So that they got to understand, because it was two of them, they put their money together. They partnered to do that. And they understood that everybody has a story. Then we had one who had a church member that had AIDS and never realized that they have to take so much medication a day. And at that time, their medication was over $300. So they gave the $50 for that, and their parents matched the donation for that. I thought, isn't that so heartfelt? And then I think one of my students ended up, one of their neighbors needed a house painted. She was an elderly lady, and he used it to paint her little room that she was doing. So I say that was so heartfelt to me, because I just remember that it was like a tug for me to get my executive director to sign off on it.
Right.
But the students did wonderful.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Mhm.
That's so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Daniel, well, let me say first, Alice, thank you for your question. We really appreciate it. Great question. Thank you for your response, Daniel, to that. And we hope and pray that you continue in the community in Nashville, but also other communities where you can be an impact and help for others. So thank you for that.
Absolutely.
So viewers, remember, please email your questions to chiand@gmail.com, and your question may be read on our next episode.
I just want to say too, before we leave, Daniel, thank you so much for gracing our stage today. You brought the fire, okay?
Thank you.
Now, if any of our viewers are interested in actually supporting you and purchasing copies of your book, tell us how they can get the book. And then if they want to stay engaged with you, how can they contact you, please?
So the book is available on Audible. It's on Amazon. It's in hardback. It's in audiobook, obviously, and ebook. It's on Amazon, but it's on all major platforms. Books A Million, any online site that sells books, you will see revision as an option. And if you would like to stay engaged with me, just reach out to me on Instagram, Drumwright on the Beat, just how it sounds. And then you can reach out to me through my website, or you can connect with me on my webpage, DanielDrumwright.com.
I love it.
Yes. And of course, if you send any inquiries to Ask the Leaders podcast, we will definitely direct you to Daniel. So, our Ask the Leaders podcast family, if today's conversation moved you in any way, and I know it did, please be sure to grab a copy of Daniel's memoir, Revision. It's more than a story. It's a blueprint in transforming pain into purpose. So we want to thank you today for being on our show. We wish you all success in Nashville and surrounding. I can't wait to see what you do next. What's next on the horizon?
Well, I have I am speaking. I'm the keynote speaker at a leadership conference for the city of Nashville. It's where all of the main department heads, so that's anywhere from our biggest departments, Nashville Department of Transportation, General Services, the mayor's office. So I'll be speaking as the keynote speaker at that event, and that will be in August. I do have some other smaller things going on, but just looking forward to extending my reach. And if y'all know of anything, if there's anything going on here, please let me know. Anyone in the community that listens and knows of anything that you would need any support in, you'll have my information. So thank you.
We love that, and we will certainly keep that in mind, okay? Thank you again for sharing. And remember, leadership isn't always about titles and positions. Sometimes it's about simply just showing up and speaking truth and just standing in your power. So just like Daniel has done time and time again.
Thank you for tuning in to Ask the Leaders podcast. I am just so excited about our new day. Don't forget to subscribe to us. Hit that subscribe button. Make sure you become a part of our Boomlennial community, and share this episode and follow us on all social media platforms. And don't forget, I mentioned we're now on audio. So we're on your audio platforms on your way to work or in your car. If you're just enjoying some audio time, please subscribe to our podcast so you get those alerts when we drop a new episode. And so we hope more of our conversations like this help to challenge, uplift, and inspire you. So until next time,
shine bright and do business right. Bye. Hey, Boom Lineal family. In addition to me being the co-host of the podcast, I'm also a premier transformational speaker. So whether it's your conference at church or your organization, I bring powerful, reliable, and results-oriented messages that move people into action. If you're looking for a speaker who can inspire, empower, and transform your audience, I'm your girl. Let's make your next event unforgettable. Hit me up on Instagram at Angela Lewis Solutions, or you can email me directly at AngelaLewisSolutions@gmail.com. Book me today.
Hey, Boom Lineal family. I got a new venture for you. We just opened a wine and spirit store in Marietta, Georgia. It's called Bottle Bazaar. You hear that? Bottle Bazaar. Go follow us on all social media platforms. It's Bottle Bazaar GA. We look forward to hearing from you.